Well, I've got a signal in there. So I got a mixed iron and brass signal. So it's like a semi-conductive. Let's see what it is. In this spot, I found all sorts of stuff, so this could be anything. I see. Oh, Christ. Oh, well, look at that. That's a nice little present from the Emperor. Well,
when coming face to face with the enemy, especially at such close quarters as you find in the jungle, you've got to be on the alert for surprise packages. First, we'll discuss the fragmentation or hand grenade. It's made of cast iron with a 2-ounce explosive charge. Total weight, 1 pound. In combat, pull the safety pin. Smack the fuse against something hard. The cap ignites the fuse. The grenade explodes 4 1/2 seconds later.
who had ever heard of the Battle of Hong Kong? I hadn't heard of the Battle of Hong Kong. It's nothing. Just a scrap of something. If I'm hacking away, digging a hole in the ground, and I clip a grenade with my shovel, it could blow up. And I could become another casualty of the Battle of Hong Kong 79 years after it ended. Hear that? I hope I didn't just fucking hit a piece of garden plumbing. Before coming to Hong Kong, like I never thought of myself as like a World War II military detectorist guy, because in Europe we're looking for Saxon, Roman, old buckles, and started reading these articles in the SCMP about the Battle of Hong Kong and guys finding helmets and bayonets, and I thought, well shit, I like guns, I like military history, I fancy some of that, kind of sounded really fun, and was kind of jealous of the guys that got to go and do that. I started off just by looking for uniform buttons, soldiers' insignias, spent shell casings. It hits a more personal note with me, you're digging up or excavating World War II British Army relics. Those are my own people. It's glorifying guys from your granddad's generation, guys that were from the same town as your grandparents, guys that grew up in the town next to where you were born. These are things that you can identify with home. These were our boys, It's a piece of history. It's a piece of the timeline. It's, however small it is, it's a witness. Everything that I dig up takes me back in time. It takes me back to that very spot 80 years ago. The Battle of Hong Kong was the opening stages of the Pacific campaign, so it was literally the first major land battle of the entire Pacific theatre. It was basically the valiant and noble last stand. It was a tiny little outpost. Hong Kong was like less than 1 million people back in 1941, and it had no strategical value, it had no resources, there was nothing worth defending here. It was just a rock with a few trees. It was a doomed last stand from the get-go. But just to save face, Churchill said, well, we've got to put some boots on the ground in there. We've got to show the world that we're able to defend the farthest corners of our entire empire. They sent 2 Canadian regiments there, but deep down they knew that there was not a single chance in hell that they were going to be able to defend this tiny little corner of the empire.
Some of the last pictures to be taken in Hong Kong by our cameraman in the colony before the big flare-up in the Pacific show the arrival of the first Canadians ever to come to the Far East for duty. On the outbreak of hostilities, this easternmost outpost of the British Empire instantly rejected the Japanese ultimatum to surrender and girded itself to fight the invaders. With the fall of Kowloon, the strengthened garrison on the island, Tokyo gives and peace.
I found this in an area where the last stand was made in Hong Kong. I think that this belonged to a young man, a young Canadian soldier. This was found on a Canadian position. This most definitely belonged to a member of the Royal Rifles of Canada, B Company, who fought on Stanley Mound. And the Royal Rifles of Canada were one of the 2 Canadian regiments dispatched to Hong Kong to help bolster the garrison in the face of a Japanese invasion. It's highly likely the former owner of this canteen lost his life. I've found so many neat things scratching around in the battlefield. This is a Japanese oiler. If you didn't have one of these, then basically you ran the risk of your weapon jamming or malfunctioning at that critical moment in the battle. The last person to touch this was a Japanese soldier, and he took his belt off to, maybe collect his ammunition, pile all his grenades up in preparation for the assault. You can really feel what went on there. This is possibly one of the most remarkable finds I have ever taken out of the ground in Hong Kong. This is a Canadian officer's cap badge from the Battle of Hong Kong, from the Royal Rifles of Canada, found in a position defended by the Royal Rifles of Canada. There are only a small number of individuals that this badge could have belonged to, and it wouldn't take that much research to narrow down the list of suspects to a single figure. I'm pretty sure we could figure out who this belonged to, without even there being a name on it. I love to find buttons, bullets, buckles, insignias and all that, but along the way I found quite a number of unexploded grenades, artillery shells and other types of bombs. The first time I found a grenade, I was quite frightened because I slowly realized, hang on, this thing could blow my head off. The grenades have obviously been exposed to the elements and they've become very corroded. They're even more dangerous now than they were back in the day. This is something that could still affect you. This could kill you. This could blow your face off. The first few times I picked up the grenade was to move it, just purely because of safety issues. They were literally lying, kicking about on the surface, not even buried, and they were in obvious places, like right in the middle of a hiking trail. So I couldn't, in all fairness, just leave them there. That would have been actual murder. When I find a grenade, it's actually kind of annoying, because if you find it 3 inches off a hiking trail where 2 minutes ago you just saw little Miss Daisy and her 3 kids walking past, you got to call it in. There's that part of your conscience that tells you, well, crap, I don't want to open the SCMP next week and read about some poor kid that blew her leg off while running in the jungle because she stepped on the grenade that I found but didn't call in.
I think it's another one close to the set.
It seems that, every couple of months I have to stop my metal detecting and call in the bomb squad.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and collect up some dirt, pour it in around the sides to try and hold it in place so that it doesn't, wash down the hill when the next typhoon hits or something like that. I mean, obviously I'm going to mark it so when we call the EOD, the bomb boys, we know where to find them, because if we call them up here and they turn up and we don't have a grenade to show them, they might get angry. Hi, hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hi, yes, I'd like to report some unexploded World War II bombs, please.
Where is it?
This is Stanley Mound, Wilson Trail, Section 1.
Wilson Trail, number section 1.
Yeah, that's right, Stanley Mound. At the top, on the summit of Stanley Mound.
Excuse me, may I ask you again, you find a bomb?
Yeah, we found several bombs.
Several bombs.
Yeah,
World War II.
that's right. We found.
Hold on, sir. I push you through to the fire console.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Hi, yeah. Call the fire services.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Where is it? Because we have no further information about that.
It's Stanley Mound. It's the summit of Stanley Mound, near stage 1 of the Wilson Trail. Yeah, we've got 4 hand grenades and 1 mortar shell.
Which location did you start your journey?
It's on Stanley Village Road. Like if you walk up, it's right on the summit.
The Hong Kong Island hiking team, they said they meet you before.
Well, we tried to wait since last time. We find lots of stuff, but it's just a bit of a pain in the backside when we do find those ones, because, well, we don't have much choice.
They shove it in the middle of nowhere and they blow it up, or they just do it on site. Like you said, if it's too dangerous to move, they just dispose of it.
誒呢個係啦，呢個就最大嘅，你見到個形式都唔同。
This is from a Canadian machine gun. This is a stripper clip made of brass. This was used by the Japanese to load the rifle. This is a piece of a grenade, of a bomb. But these are just small relics, not dangerous. The dangerous stuff is back up there. The EOD is dealing with them.
When the EOD blow up the grenades, inevitably they destroy and erase a small part of history. You have to look at this from a much broader perspective. I mean, the guys who were here during the battle, the Canadians, the British, they were defending Hong Kong. They were defending the people, they were defending the territory. And in a way, by calling in these grenades and by destroying them, we're kind of carrying on their legacy. We are also kind of defending Hong Kong, you know. The next step for me, I plan to keep relic hunting for as long as I can walk and breathe and see. I plan to be one of these bearded old guys still going out with his metal detector. I don't plan to stop. I just leave my clothes on the bench over there. People are going to think, Christ, Ed's been vaporized.